This video explains the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator assessment and helps us understand its results and how we should use those results to achieve success as a leader. Before continuing, pause this video and watch the video establishing the proper mindset for taking the MBTI assessment. The link to that video is found in Blackboard. After watching that video, take the Myers-Briggs Personality Type Self-Assessment. The link for the assessment is found in Blackboard also. It is better to assess yourself before continuing any other reading or learning about the topic so that bias in assessing yourself is reduced. The objective of this video is to help you understand yourself and others through the lens of or from the perspective of the Myers-Briggs Personality Type Indicator assessment. Psychological type theory focuses on the notion that predictable differences in individuals are caused by differences in the way people prefer to use their minds. Like leadership traits, these differences may be inborn or natural, but can be developed. Psychological type theory provides a model for understanding people through patterns and their ways of thinking. These patterns are referred to as types. The theory honors a person's right to maintain his or her preferences and what is best for them as they go about their daily interactions and encounters and have experiences. Daughter and mother team Isabel Briggs Myers and Catherine Cook Briggs developed the Myers-Briggs Personality Type Indicator Assessment in 1962 from original work performed and established by Swiss psychologist and psychiatrist Carl Jung in 1921. Myers and Briggs added the final two types, judging and perceiving, and clarified much of the theory. The MBTI indicates differences in our preferences for focusing our attention and energy, extroversion and introversion, taking in information, sensing or intuition, making decisions, thinking or feeling, and orienting ourselves to the external world, judging and perceiving. Pictorially, the MBTI identifies these types and places each of them on points to produce four continua: energy, extroversion and introversion, perception, sensing or intuition, judgment, thinking or feeling, and environment, judging or perceiving. Let's discuss the first set of preferences, introversion and extroversion. On this continuum, extroverts focus on the outer world of people and things, while introverts focus on the inner world of ideas and impressions. They each get their energy and are re-energized by focusing on their defined preference. In fact, they seem to purposely seek for ways to live by their preference and grasp for energy in those ways. Here are the observable behaviors of extroverts and introverts. Which do you exhibit? Here are the needs and expectations of extroverts and introverts. Which aligns with yours? Now, pause the video and reflect on and write your answers to these questions. As an introverted leader, what can be done to build relationships with and/or influence people who have extroverted tendencies? And as an extroverted leader, What can be done to build relationships with and or influence people who have introverted tendencies? Now let's discuss the second set of preferences, sensing and intuitive. On this continuum, sensors take in and use information by focusing on the present and on concrete information gained from the senses, while intuitives take in and use information by focusing on the future with the view towards patterns and possibilities. Here are the observable behaviors of sensors and intuitives. Which do you exhibit? Here are the needs and expectations of sensors and intuitives. Which align with yours? As an example of sensors and intuitives, when taking a rough weather flight with two friends, a sensor and an intuitive, upon seeing the runway, the intuitive sighs and says, "Ah, we're there." The sensor, recognizing that you're not on the ground until your wheels touch the pavement, looked suspiciously at the intuitive and said, "We're not there yet." Pause the video and brainstorm. Write down as many uses for an envelope as you can think of in 5 minutes. Generally, you'll find that if you are a sensor, you won't find as many uses for an envelope outside of what an envelope is traditionally used for. While if you are an intuitive, you will dream of many progressive and unusual ways to use an envelope in 5 minutes. Now, pause the video again to address these questions. As a sensing leader, what can be done to build relationships with and influence people who have intuitive tendencies? Conversely, as an intuitive leader, what can be done to build relationships with and influence people who have sensing tendencies? Now let's discuss the third set of preferences, thinking and feeling. On this continuum, thinkers tend to base their decision on logic and on objective analysis of cause and effect, while feelers tend to base their decisions primarily on values and on subjective evaluation of person-centered concerns. Here are the observable behaviors of thinkers and feelers. Which do you exhibit? Here are the needs and expectations of thinkers and feelers. Which align with yours? Now pause the video and assume the role of thinking or feeling leaders in an organization, whichever MBTI results indicated you are. Here's the example. You must reduce staff company-wide by 20%. How will you accomplish this objective? You have 5 minutes. For that exercise, typically, thinkers will use data and reports and ask questions to clarify the objectives to make the decision, while feelers will care more about people and the human element and how people feel when solving the problems and devising solutions. Now, pause the video again to address these questions. As a thinking leader, what can be done to build relationships with or influence people who have feeling tendencies? As a feeling leader, what can be done to build relationships with or influence people who have thinking tendencies? Let's discuss the fourth set of preferences, judging and perceiving. On this continuum, judgers, when organizing information and setting goals, tend to like a planned and organized approach to life. They prefer to have things settled, and they tend to get locked into one method or best practice. While perceivers, when organizing information and setting goals, tend to like a flexible and spontaneous approach to life and prefer to keep their options open. They are capable of generating alternatives to any situation. Here are the observable behaviors of judgers and perceivers. Which do you exhibit? Here are the needs and expectations of judges and perceivers. Which align with yours? To further illustrate this set of preferences, supermarkets are cleverly designed for both judgers and perceivers. The aisles are organized. For example, the cans are neatly stacked and there is a directory on the wall appealing to judgers. For perceivers, at the end of the aisles, and especially at the cash register, there is a variety of impulse purchases. Now, pause the video and assume the preference of judging or perceiving, whichever your MBTI results indicate you are. Discuss your ideal work week. Take 5 minutes to write down common themes about what makes an ideal work week for you. For that exercise, judgers tend to have a full plan of their work week, while perceivers prefer to be open and spontaneous and tend to not operate by a calendar. Now, pause the video again to address these questions. As a judging leader, what can be done to build relationships with and/or influence people who have perceiving tendencies? As a perceiving leader, what can be done to build relationships with and/or influence people who have judging tendencies? Great. We've reviewed all the information from the four continua. 16 personality types are generated. Let's look at them. You'll often hear individuals refer to their type as INTJ, for example. For INTJs, I stands for introverted as opposed to extroverted. These individuals are energized by spending time alone rather than in groups. N stands for intuitive as opposed to sensing. These individuals focus on the future with a view towards patterns and possibilities and their own intuition rather than being present and focused on data and concrete information. T stands for thinking as opposed to feeling, and these individuals make decisions based on logic as opposed to their own values or subjective person-centered concerns. And J, which stands for judging as opposed to perceiving. These individuals orient themselves to the environment by planning and organizing rather than being flexible and spontaneous. Find yourself on the chart. On this chart, here are some examples of famous people assessed with a particular personality type. It is not known whether the entities actually took the Myers-Briggs assessment. The 16 personality types are recategorized into 4 temperaments based on the consistent values of the second, third, and fourth letters of the type. The SJ temperament, the second letter is S and the fourth letter is J. For the SP temperament, the second letter is S and the fourth letter is P. For NF, the second letter is N and the third letter is F. And for NT, the second letter is N and the third letter is T. Pause and note your temperament category now. Here, the 4 temperaments have certain attributes or traits associated with them. Pause the video, and based on your identified temperament, are the attributes or traits listed consistent with what you know about yourself? Individuals with the traditional temperament, SJ, make up approximately 38% of the US population. Pause the video and note the strengths these individuals tend to exhibit. Do they align with yours? Individuals with the adventurous temperament, SP, make up approximately 35% of the US population. Pause the video and note the strengths these individuals tend to exhibit. Do they align with yours or someone you know? Individuals with the noble temperament, NF, make up approximately 12% of the US population. Pause the video and note the strengths of these individuals tend to exhibit. Do they align with yours or someone you know? And finally, individuals with the inventive temperament, NT, make up approximately 12% of the US population. Pause the video and note the strengths these individuals tend to exhibit. Do they align with yours? Pause the video yet again and note the positive and negative implications of each temperament group within the work environment or from a personal perspective in class or in your current um, family situation. Start with your own temperament group and then select another temperament group that would be beneficial on your work team and explain why. There you have it. This video explained the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator personality assessment and helped us understand its results and how we can use those results to achieve greater success as a leader. Consider how you can use the MBTI defined personality preferences and styles to improve as a leader.